Okay, I have decided that today, which I believe is May 20th, 2023, is the day for the spring garden tour. So, the spring garden tour cannot start without some introduction to where I start all my seeds and start all my cuttings, which is right here in our front driveway. So, you can see this table here, and there's our new casita, and some more plants there. This one here is a better bush tomato, which I will grow from now on for the rest of my life. Cannot believe how well it's performing in a relatively small container. And containers is going to be the only way I can do tomatoes. I've got verticulum wilt and they are all dying in the ground. Got some milkweed here, which has taken me many, many years of trying to get them to go right. And this year, our garden tour is going to include a portion of the front yard, which I have turned into a butterfly garden. So as you can see, this is a bunch more plant starts, a table full of plant starts. Some of these will go to market with me and be sold at the market, and some will go back in the garden, though I don't know where. This is actually a purple skin sweet potato that I just stuck an enormous tuber from last year in this pot, and so this is like hundreds of slips coming up that I need to transplant. A couple of pitiful looking cucumbers here. This is milkweed I started, and that's milkweed I bought. I got some black and blue salvia here. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, so pretty. So walking down here, this is my little front yard area. We've got several little garden beds. We planted a couple of citrus and a couple of Japanese magnolias in the front here. And we've also got a jelly palm and a fan palm back there. Behind this hibiscus, behind there are some camellias, some crepe myrtles down the driveway over here. So that is the front yard there, but over here we've got this little side garden, which is really pretty. We've got a a Chinese fan palm right here. Got my beautiful petunia. It's kind of my Mother's Day present to myself. I don't even like petunias, but that one was just too beautiful to pass up. And then this is a little garden that we've been working on for several years. We've kind of just thrown a bunch of stuff in here, and it's turned out really pretty. It's just got nice flowers, and the snapdragons are on their way out. This right here is a crepe myrtle that the birds planted for us. We had nothing to do with it. And then we come to the butterfly garden portion. These are Mike's roses that are right here. And then I got some basils in containers on the sides. And then this is the butterfly garden. We'll just go around. Got lantana and pineapple sage and red-leafed cotton, which actually has a green tinted cotton. This little bed right here is going to be where I put all those milkweed. And I've just got some beautiful flowering things here. Cosmos, sunflower. We've got our date palm that we bring in for the winter right here. Mexican sunflower right here. That's these orange ones. Also Tithosonia is its other name. More cosmos. More of the cotton, the red-leafed, green-tinted cotton. So this is the butterfly garden. Now, caladiums are not a butterfly plant. I just think they're beautiful, so I wanted them over here displayed. I just can't help myself with the caladiums. Oh, we don't have any hibiscus blooming. That is an absolutely gorgeous hibiscus. But another day. So here is the butterfly garden, a little Gaillardia blanket flower. Gorgeous, gorgeous. More lantana here. This is another camellia, white, beautiful, heavy bloom that we transplanted over here from the front. So now we're going to go to the back. So back through the front yard. Beautiful, beautiful. Here's just our little front area. Now the back is always under continuous construction of some kind or another, so you'll have to bear with my got parts all over for a greenhouse that I'll be building at some point in this year. So here we come back through the seed starting area. Around the camper is some more tomatoes. So there's a little tomato section. This pot here has got potatoes in it, so I'll be harvesting those this weekend. And then we have the beginning of the garden. So here's some more greenhouse parts. We've got some chickpeas here. Moving over this way, we've got ginger and more cotton and sunflowers, and there are cucumbers climbing up the sunflowers. That's the peach tree I planted last year. It's grown 20 feet in 1 year, I think. I got a plum here, but it's kind of buried. This is a Creole tomato, wowzers. This cattle panel trellis is hosting true African yams. And they're a little hard to see now at this point. If I come up like this, you can see they've got absolutely gorgeous leaves. Kind of shiny, big, lobed, or not lobed, but veined. Very nice. This plant will actually produce what's called air potatoes, and the air potatoes are edible. And then under the ground, you harvest their tubers as well. But you don't have to harvest the tubers every year. Every few years is just fine. Over here we have watermelon and cantaloupe are the main crop here, and then I've got a bunch of sunflowers to provide shade for the watermelon and cantaloupe. And back behind here, which is difficult to see, is a cranberry hibiscus. And this right here is my only roselle hibiscus that I planted this year right here. So this is my citrus. I've got some beans going up this cattle panel trellis, some carrots that are needing to be harvested, more garbanzo beans here. This spot here is where my little greenhouse was. And since a friend gave me their greenhouse, I gave away my little greenhouse. And this little footprint, I made a little container garden, which is all beautiful and overgrown right now, but is probably close to its end because it was a nice little spring garden. More tomatoes. I don't know what this plant is. If anybody can identify this, I would be grateful. It has this really interesting cone pattern, but it just showed up. I'm thinking it might be flax, but I'm not sure because there's some flax in the chicken seed in our feed. But anyway, it doesn't look like the other flax that I planted. So anyway, so there's a little bit. Oh, there's another citrus tree right there. It's hard to see. I've got a glare. This is the strawberry garden. And I've got other things besides strawberries in here accompanying it. But there's the strawberry garden. Over here, I've got a few things. Cranberry hibiscus, a couple of herbs. That's a Joe pie weed. And then I've got tomatoes, mints, garlic chives. Another tomato there, and then this along the fence here is all Confederate jasmine. Absolutely beautiful. Behind this little fenced area here, I changed my fencing this year. I am trying lima beans on the fence in buckets, and I'm going to see how that does. I don't know how much root space they really need, and there's a few plants per bucket, so we'll keep an eye on that. It's kind of an experiment. I'm doing a lot of container gardening this year because various places I don't like the soil. This little spot I put some soil in that I never cared for. And I've amended it some, but I just wanted to see about the containers. It just gives me lots more options in the garden. And here are my bags of leaves that I will continue to use throughout the season. A fig, another purple fruit, sweet potato. And there's my girls. Hi, girls. Hi, girls. Pretty girls. All right, then this is a neat little thing that I've done this year is I've created a back alley to the other side of the garden, partly because this fence is falling apart and partly because we needed the dogs a little more contained and partly because I just wanted to have a back alley to my other garden. But you can see this little alleyway lets me go from one side yard to the other side yard without having to open fences and have the dogs interfering in my garden space. On this fence row, I've got some various different elephant ears. I think I need to get over here to show you my Aloha Alocasia. Not sure if you can see it real well. Oh, but it's so pretty. And then I've got some lime elephant ears as well, and a random potato growing in there. And then I've got some more potatoes here. And then this is I was messing around and trying to measure out where the greenhouse is going to be, so that's what all this is. And then these are in buckets climbing up the fence. These are more lima beans that I'm growing in these large half 55-gallon drums. And then we're coming around to the other side of the garden, and then things start to get really magical because this is the side that I really did a lot of planning for. So we got a palm and a lemon and some elderberry that's not flowering because I think it's junk elderberry. Watermelon, Mexican sunflower, blueberries, palms. That's a grapefruit there. More sunflowers, all kinds of things. These are potatoes here that I'll be harvesting soon. We're underneath of the muscadine, one of the muscadine trellises. And then we sort of peek through this little spot here, and we've got some tomatoes in containers, more lima beans in containers, some lima beans in ground. Over here is a mayhaw. This is my froze down to the ground and now is probably a junk mulberry. It does not produce fruit, and I believe it's some kind of graft thing, but I've got cucumbers and some kukuza growing up that to see what happens, just for an experiment. And then in here on the other side, this is the muscadine, and then over here I've got all kinds of things planted, okra and watermelon, and all kinds of herbs are in here that self-seeded, and I've got turmeric in here, and there's various turmerics kind of all over the place that I've planted. They're not coming quite up yet because they like it a lot warmer than this, but a few of them have come up. And then this little spot here is another little walkway coming down that back alley. Here's the other side of that muscadine vine. Beautiful little sunflower right here. Oh, so pretty. And then here's my loquat tree, which has gotten quite large over the years. And we're gonna come in, turn this corner, and go through the next little spot where we have our next muscadine area. A couple things on the ground here that I need to plant. Always a work in progress. So here is the cattle panel trellis. That's a 4-foot by 16-foot cattle panel bent across 4 T-posts. And then this is the result. It's very, very strong. I could hang on it, and I'm a big girl. I could hang on the top of it. It holds a lot of weight, so it's perfectly adequate for anything that vines. And I've got muscadines all over this. It's just gonna be loaded. And I got beans on the side in here, and bush beans here, and pole beans on that side. So it's really filled in. And the beans and the muscadines don't have any problem with each other. They all coexist. Remember, it says creating a food forest back here, so it is mimicking nature. I want it as full and abundant as possible. This is 2 Seminole pumpkins and another Seminole pumpkin here. And then with this Seminole pumpkin here, we've got some lemongrass. We've got another cotton. This cotton here and that cotton there came up from the root as a perennial. So I had 3 plants that did that from last year, and they all happen to be green cotton, so I'm really pleased with that. This is the other side of the Seminole pumpkin. And then this is one of my new crops this year. This is called kukuza squash. Now this is also on a cattle panel trellis. The cattle panel has gotten totally loaded, but the really cool thing is when you come up underneath here and you come in here, you can see all these kukuza hanging. So like, I can't get back any further, but this is my hand on this puppy. This is already probably 1.5 to 2 feet long. And I harvested one yesterday that is 3 feet long, easy. So very cool. So we're underneath the cattle panel now, and we're just enjoying these kukuzas. They're so beautiful. I occasionally have a snake friend that hangs out with me up here on the top. She's beautiful. She or he, I'm not sure which. And then on the back side of this is the beans and the muscadines. I've got sorghum in here. This here is called swamp sunflower. It puts up a really pretty yellow flower in the fall. I've got some sorghum, some okras tucked away in here in different various spots. Hopefully it will grow up as the Seminole pumpkin kind of gets puny. This here is moringa, which is a superfood. This is my little papaya. We'll see how she does this year. I think I've got it done in such a way that I can grow it in this pot and it will be okay. I've done a little YouTube University research, and I think that this will work. You just pick the top, basically. You pinch the top leaves off, and then it puts out a bunch from the top, and then it'll usually set fruit. So we'll see. And then back in here, this is the other direction of the other, coming from the other way of the second muscadine trellis. And here I've got some containers. This is a Chiquita banana right here. We'll see if it sets fruit this year. We were able to keep the small plant in the Florida room over the winter, so I think it might set fruit. Who knows if it'll ripen, but more moringa in containers. And the cool thing about containers is if you keep them in for the winter, in here, zone 9B, they will produce the flower and then the pod, and then I can save seed. By the fall, I will have very large dry seed pods that I will collect and save my own moringa seed, because I'm now keeping some of my moringa inside. This is the other side of the mayhaw right here. And some more lemongrass back there, some more, and this little section here has got some more Mexican sunflower. That's kind of taking its sweet time. This right here, coming through these big squash looking leaves, are the squash, the Seminole pumpkin, which is actually a butternut squash, that's coming through over here. It's on the other side of this, coming through over here, and is just going nuts in here. This is one leaf of these things. These things are just gorgeous. They're doing really well. I mean, I'm in peak week right now. That's what I call my like most beautiful time in the garden. From here, things start to die and get a little funky. This is the other side of the Cucuza cattle panel. Now, earlier in the season, there was just absolutely beautiful flowers. I'm going to go on the other side here and see if I can find one. The Cucuza just had the most amazing flowers. It was so cool. There's some more cotton that I have in pots. Some cosmos, which I love, the sunflowers. And then this little corner over here, last year I did a couple different things here, but this year is all corn, sweet corn, and ground corn. So I'm hoping to get some grain corn and what have you. And then I've got some flowers planted in the front here and some sunflowers, a little okra. You know, I just tuck stuff everywhere. So coming back here, we've got this entire Seminole pumpkin is one plant that originates right there. This entire Seminole pumpkin is one plant that originates right there. Goes all the way back in there. So Seminole pumpkin's a really fun one to grow because it just really makes you feel like a successful gardener. And this Seminole pumpkin is loaded with fruit. It just has fruit everywhere. It's dropping fruit all over the place. Now this does make it a little hard for me to mow because I don't like to mow this until later in the season. But it'll just grow and do its thing and it'll be fine. And that is pretty much the end of the garden tour. Let's zoom in here on a beautiful female flower. Now look at the size of this flower, okay? That's my hand. Isn't that gorgeous? And look, there's a bee in there doing its work. Hi, bee. Oh, it's a honeybee too. Good morning, gorgeous. All right, so that is pretty much the end of the garden tour. I tried to keep it 16, almost 17 minutes, not too bad. All right. Have a wonderful day, y'all. Happy gardening.